A lot has changed in the past couple of weeks. This is another orchard tour for Flack Fruit. You better believe it. Okay, it's the first week of April. And if I come over here to my O. Henry peach, look at all those phenomenal flowers. It's good stuff. Just pointing out a couple of things. When looking at the fruit, when it's open like this, that means it's open to get pollinated. When it looks like this, that means it has either been pollinated or it did not get pollinated. And we'll find out next week how much fruit actually got set through pollination from all the bees. But I've tried to make or incorporate mason bees into my orchard. And I've spent a couple $100s on it, and it has been unsuccessful. I have not seen any mason bees, but I've seen a lot of honeybees. I have no idea where they come from, but they tend to pollinate the hula out of these trees, which is phenomenal. Look at this. Man, so many freaking flowers. It's awesome. All right, the other thing I want you to notice is the growth on there. So this O. Henry peach tends to flower and grow leaves at about the same time. If we move over there to the red globe peach, it's very similar. It tends to flower a little bit later in the season, and notice the green leaves that are starting to grow out. You can see the difference between what would be a bud versus a leafing. If I can focus on that, there we go. Can kind of see the difference slightly between the two. Watch my other video to see what the difference in those two are. But at this stage, you can tell that this is still either pollinated or not, and we'll find out. But we are going to hit freezing temperatures tonight and tomorrow. So I'm going to put a big fan at the end over here, big fan to blow air this way to push and circulate air down here in this orchard, which is at the bottom of this hill. Oh, I also got some chickens. So we got those installed to help fertilize the orchard. So good. All right, here's Babcock peach. Now this was one of the very first to flower. You can see, oh, look at the size of these things. So here, let's see if I can zoom in. Zoom, you see those guys right there? What? Yeah, that's gonna be some fruit, which is great. So good. And the leaves did come out at about the same time as the flowers, which is phenomenal. But all the petals of the flowers are gone. There were tons of bees on here. Babcock. And over here we have the Asian pear. I'm unsure what variety it is, but I did come over here and graft a couple of varieties, which is looking good. If I zoom in here, you can see, yes, growth. That's what I'm talking about. Bark graft, go team. We have another graft over here. So I'm going to have 4 different varieties on this Asian pear, but look at the flowers. I love this tree. It flowers so freaking much. Look at those clusters. Man, it's gorgeous. Hopefully we'll get a good amount of fruit on this thing. And then over here we have the Santa Rosa plum. Let me get on over there. Santa Rosa plum. I also grafted a new variety down here. That's the Howard Miracle plum. We'll give it a try and see how it goes. But if we zoom in right here, those were flowers. Let's see if they turn into fruit. I don't know. If I zoom out again, you can look at the top. All these little clusters, those are flowers that hopefully will fruit. And I'll get some fruit off of this beautiful Santa Rosa plum. Now we're transitioning over to the apple tree. Now this apple tree has had a lot of issues. If you look here, you see all that? Borers got into all this stuff. They're eating this tree alive. Look at all the boring that has gone into that thing. They must really love apple trees, or this is a bad apple tree. And I came in and I grafted a couple of different varieties. I'll make a new video on the grafting and if they were successful or not. but it is starting to flower. That's one thing that I noticed with this apple tree, which I believe is a Fuji. So they will leaf out and produce lots of different flowers, but I do have 4 other varieties grafted onto this tree. Now let's move over to this Utah Sweet pomegranate. If we look at the Utah Sweet, there's a little bit of red growing here. Just a little bit. You see that little spot right there? Those spots are growth. They're gonna grow. All right, here we are at the 4-in-1. I'm trying to remember what variety is where, but you can see that this first variety over here, lots of leaves, and it did have a couple of flowers here. This one really flowering a lot. I think this is the Dapple Dandy. And sorry if there's kids yelling in the background. Hopefully that's not too distracting. And then there's this third one. I think this is the Flavor Supreme, and it is just leafing out. There's definitely no growth, but I found a nice glimmer of hope. Look at that. That is on this grafted body. So whatever variety this is, which I will find out some future time and label it, this variety, I'm gonna let this grow out so that I can continue to have my 4-in-1 tree. And I have a spacer here to kind of push them across. I also have a spacer that fell out, but I had it right there. Look at this beautiful Toka Plum. I love these clusters. Isn't that awesome? Man, look at all those clusters. What? So good. And natural growing onions down there to kind of help keep the aphids away. But it is still flowering up at the top versus down at the bottom. It's already flowered. And there's very little green growth. Zoom. There we go. Very little. But it's happening. Flowers first. Here we have an apricot. Most of the flowers on the apricot have gone the way of the earth. And if I zoom in here, all this dead looking flowery stuff, that is gonna be fruit. That is a good sign. You can see right there, that is going to be a fruit. So nice, I'm so excited. Yes, go apricots, assuming that the freeze doesn't get them. Another thing to point out, it's still flowering, which is kind of important to know. Okay, and I have another variety that I grafted on there. We'll see if they take. This is the Flavor Grenade Pluot. It also has been flowering just a little bit down the line and up the top here. So good. Some green growth on this Flavor Grenade, which is important to know. They tend to flower and fruit at about the same time. And then if we look at the chicks. Hi, chicks. What up, girls? Say hi to the chicks. My daughter's gonna take them out, let them run around the orchard for a little bit. No new growth on the jujube. I know a lot of people are interested in jujubes, and so I'm gonna put this in part of the video, but notice there is a slight bit of green that's in here. So that's a good sign. Not that it's actually going to grow. It won't start growing until next month is my speculation, because it is so old. Oh, there's some green growth. Look at that. So good. Go jujube. And if we go over to this other apricot, all of this stuff right there, that was all flowers. And now you can see that it is fruit. Zoom in. Fruit. Yeah, buddy. Okay, no leaves yet, but it's starting to follow after the flowering, which is interesting for an apricot. Here on these 2 cherry trees, I have a Bing and a Stella. You can see the green growth on these. That's a good sign. It means it's growing, obviously, or else it would be dead. And they're not dead, so that's good. We got some comfrey here, some comfrey there, and the Sir Anor pomegranate. Let's see if we have any new growth. Doesn't look like we have any new growth on this, which is not a good sign. He might be dead. I hope not. Okay, but that's not so good. But if we come over here, we can see on this wonderful pomegranate, look at that new growth. So good. Okay, Here is the Plumcot, along with Shiro Japanese plum grafting. Again, I'll make a video on those grafts. Hasn't even flowered yet, but you can see these little flower buds that are starting. All that. There's gonna be lots of buds on this, which is great. Last year I didn't have any. It just wanted to grow, which I'm fine with until it gets this big, and then I don't want it to get any bigger. All right, here we go with the Rose Nectarine. This definitely flowers a lot more than the other varieties, and then the green comes out. The flowers tend to hold on really long, and you can see here, good shape. Zoom in. Kind of see the shape of that flower, and most of these flowers will actually turn into fruit. I'm excited to have that. We come over here to the Flavor King. Right here, just a couple of little flowers, not much, that's okay. This is its first full year in the ground. Flavor King, and then over here, the Flavor Queen, which is much bigger. Again, leafing out a lot more. They, just like the other plums, will flower first and then leaf out, but there's not very many flowers. This is Flavor Supreme. That's down here. Good little growth, I just planted it a couple months ago. Some comfrey as a nitrogen fixer. And then we have this persimmon. This is a chocolate persimmon graft that I put in there. We'll see if it grows later on. Marionberry, got some growth. Look at that. Gonna get some berries this year. So excited. Yes. And this is great. Look, this is the earliest I have ever seen persimmon grow. This is a Saijo persimmon. So Saijo persimmon definitely leafing out first. This hefty, I did a graft onto the bottom part of this. It was perfect size. And I have a couple of starts that I did. This is the Parfianca pomegranate. A little bit of growth right here. Look at the red. Yes. Along with, this is the Eversweet. Look at that red. Ba-dum. Hallelujah. So good. I'm gonna give a couple of these varieties. You can see the red in there too for the start. Each of them have red. I was trying to see if size makes a difference in terms of propagating, and it doesn't look like it for the Eversweet, but maybe with the Parfianca. And then here are the 3 other persimmons. You can't even see them that I grafted. No new growth here. No new growth here on this Hana persimmon, but this is a pretty late bloomer. And I forgot this cherry. I grafted 2 Utah giant cherries on here, and the grafts are looking really good. And here we have some good green growth first off, and then we should be getting some flowers on there. I won't get very much fruit. I also did just a bud graft. Why can't I remember a bud graft? So 1 bud graft, 2, 3, and it looks like they're actually taking, which is a good sign. All right, let's move up to the other stuff. There's my water storage, and then I have these fun little pineapple guavas that are starting to grow. This one's not looking so good, so I think I need to fertilize it and give it some good water, but new growth, that's a good sign. Okay, let's move up to the top of the hill. Look at that artichoke, by the way. Man, who doesn't like artichoke? Thank you, birds. Hey, pistachio in the middle of the hill here, starting to grow along with the other pistachio. And going down this line, there's not much new growth here. Things are starting to bud. They won't be flowering much, so we'll go on top of the hill and look at some stuff. Top of the hill here, my first muscadine growth. Look at that. Yeah, buddy. That's great. So I have some growth. This is the only one and the first one that has grown so far. Primus currant, no growth on it yet. Muscadine, no growth on it yet. This is another Primus currant. Look at this new growth here, coming all the way down. Yes, it's growing great. Same with this currant. Green growth. It's awesome. No new growth on that muscadine. Goumi bush, we've looked at that one. It's still growing. Other Goumi bush, still growing. A lot more green. Looks great. Third Goumi bush. No on the Muscadine, but if we go to this persimmon, is the Izu persimmon. Look at the growth there. Good green. It's a good sign. Maybe we'll get some persimmons this year. This is the Raven persimmon. Persimmons tend to leaf out first before they will flower. And if we go to the Eversweet, look at this growth. Again, we're about 20 feet higher than the other persimmons. Eversweet might just flower sooner than the others, which is totally fine, but good flowering there, along with the Parfionca. Yes, they're growing so big. Nothing on the pawpaw, some comfrey, nothing on the pawpaw. And this is the Spice Zee Nectaplum. We have a couple of flowers on here and a couple of older ones that are dead. But the nice thing about this is look at the flowers. The flowers are pink and the leaves are red, nice burgundy red. And if we go to the Indian Free Peach, I don't have very many flowers. I have like 10 maybe on this one, but it is flowering and leafing out at the same rate. Here we are at the Flat Wonderful. You can see nice burgundy red leaves. So nice, but not much fruit. Here are a couple of flowers that are about to expand, but not too many on the Flat Wonderful Peach. I'm debating on whether or not we get enough chill hours for this one to fruit, which that would kind of suck to plant this whole thing and figure out that it actually won't fruit. But we'll see. We'll give it another year. Over here we have the Flavor Punch Pluerries. All of these beautiful flowers down there. And by the way, they smell so freaking good. I say freaking a lot, but it is. It's true. It's so good. And look at all this green. Man, it's so nice. All these flowers. So Flavor Punch Pluerries, really neat. One interesting thing about this, and I'm going to point it out on here. Look at how the leaves are starting to come out. They just come straight up and then they start to expand outward. So like this, they will expand outward. Just an interesting notice here. I think it's too early to determine if I have any fruit on here, but I'm pretty sure I will. The Sweet Treat Pluerie, on the other hand, very little flowers. See those? Very little flowers. And it kind of does the same type of thing as the other Pluerie, which my understanding is when I looked at the patent on these various Plueries, they are not just a plum cherry hybrid. Some of them are plum cherry with a little bit of peach, which I thought was interesting, trying out a couple of different combinations. But here they tend to flower towards the end, not the very end, but towards the end-ish area, top 2/3. Just like the Santa Rosa plum, which I thought was interesting. But the leaves and the way that these are coming out are much different than a Santa Rosa plum. Here we have the Candy Heart Pluerie, which these are supposed to be the largest of all Plueries. The flowers on these, man, so nice. Tons of flowers, same type of thing, except these are more towards the top end. They will flower and go all the way up the stem until they're done. So the ones that are in the middle here, they have already flowered. And I wonder if I have any fruit down there. I can't really see any, so I might not have any fruit, which down here towards the trunk is where you want to have some of that fruit because it's such a young tree. And out here on the ends, it will really yank the secondary branches down a lot. It'll come down like that a lot if I leave them on there. So, which I'm going to because I want to have fruit. And then we have the Cotton Candy Aprium. So this is one of the first that flowered. You can watch my video about that earlier on in the season. It's been about a month, I think, since it started to flower. And look at that. All right, that's fruit. Look at all those fruits. See how the end of the flowers totally toast, not looking very beautiful. Looks like these are just ugly and, oh, nothing's gonna come about that, but that's not true. They fruit. That is the fruit right there. Yes, cotton candy aprium, people. Can't wait to taste test this for you. Well, for me, you'll get to see it, but I can't wait to taste these things. So good. And then we have the Flavor Delight. Same situation. Look at these fruits. Da-da. Fruit, fruit, fruit. There are so many fruits. It's crazy. I'm gonna have to thin them down. But this is spread out a lot more than the cotton candy aprium. Good growth. And here we have the Shanxi Jujube. No green growth on this jujube. I see some type of bud formation here for the twigs to grow. No. Interesting thing that is slightly different from the Shanxi. The Shanxi, if you look down here, there are these little wispy sticks, and these are just dead. Ba-dunk. See, that's just dead. New growth is going to start from those nodes, but these little wispy guys, they're a lot less on the Shanxi versus the sugarcane. But I'm going to graft on a couple of varieties onto this one and also the other jujube. It's a nice looking tree though. I'm digging it. All right, mulberries. Pakistani mulberry. Look at those little nodes. There's green in there. It's growing. Yes. I thought that the mulberries would be the first to flower or leaf out, but they're not. They're supposed to produce fruit in May for me. Here's the world's best. It also is growing. So mulberries are growing. Let's go down now to the middle part. These I just planted. This whole row I just planted a couple of months ago, and I need to put some retaining wall here to keep it back. But this is the Dapple Dandy. I haven't had a Dapple Dandy before, but you can see there is, focus, new growth. Ta-da! Look at those little green buds. Go Dapple Dandy. And I am going to do these, let's do wide angle. I'm gonna do these espalier, and they'll just come across there kind of as a width, because this is a narrow walkway. There's about 3 feet here, and then another 3 feet back there. So I have a total of 5 feet between the branch and there, and I don't want the branches to come out. I want them to go side to side. So it'll almost be like a wall of fruit tree. I'm gonna train them. I've pruned them. You can see here, this is the Pluot Splash. Green growth, look at that. Focus, there we go. Yes, so good. The ones that are coming off to the back and the front, those will go away because I want it to go laterally. This is my last Pluerie. This is Sugar Twist. Look at the Sugar Twist. It did get some flowers on there. I don't care to have fruit on this because I need it to grow. But you can see side, side, side growth, and then I'm gonna have more side growth. And whatever comes forward towards me is gonna go away. Like this little branch needs to go away, but it's flexible. During the summer, I'll trim it when it has some growth on it. And this one also flowered. It is the Plumcot Plum Parfait. Look at that growth. Good stuff. All right, and if we just check in on the mason bees. Hi, mason bees. Nothing, no movement, nothing. The poor mason bees. Here we are 2 weeks later. It's the middle of April. And I'm gonna give you a nice little tour of what is going on with these trees every couple weeks. So this is the O. Henry peach. As you can see right here, got some flowers and we're gonna get some fruit. These flowers set a little bit after the last freeze, so we should get some fruit on here. I just don't know how much, but it's a good sign. Sorry, neighbors are doing construction, but it's a good sign to have these staying on here. They would have fallen off by now if they were lost. This one is the red globe peach. We'll also have some fruit here. The leaves are looking good. A little bit of growth that's coming on. Also with the Babcock peach, you can see some of these did not quite make the freeze. This was the earliest one that started, but if I just take those off here, see, just falling off. But there are a few that are on here that decided to stay on, one of which is right there. Look at that, yay. So some fruit is setting on this, and I did lose some fruit. Oh, hey, this is interesting. I don't know what this is. Does anybody know what that is? Please put it down in the comments below because I have no idea what that is. Is it a bug that comes by and eats it? Maybe like a thrip or something? I'm not sure, but anything can help. Any comments would be stellar. All right, so that is the, those are the peaches that I have here. Not a lot of fruit for this one because it set the flowers so early. Look at this Asian pear. Hot diggity. Middle of April, really starting to come out. Uh-oh, that's not a good sign. You see the dark tinges here around the edges, those little petals there? That might be a sign of fire blight, which is not good. And bees tend to, when they pollinate, they tend to take the fire blight and hand it off to other trees. So it could just be that these have flowered for so long that they're doing good. Each one of these flowers could set a piece of fruit. They won't, but they could. Okay, here's some grafts that I have put down here, and they're actually growing, if it'll focus. There we go. This is the Santa Rosa. It is a big tree. I think I actually might thin it out a little bit more. The downside to this, let me get over there. Here is not a very good thing that I noticed. Right here. So this is plum leaf curl. And I sprayed it last night with water because I want to get all the aphids. Plum leaf curl is not necessarily from a disease, but because of aphids. I have a video about all of this. It looks like I got the aphids off of this one, but ants will carry aphids up to the new growth, and where it starts to grow, the aphids will latch on underneath the leaf and they will eat the new growth that's coming in, and it'll start to curl, and it looks like peach leaf curl. I've got a little bit around here, no aphids. So the spraying worked a little bit yesterday, but I'm gonna come through again tonight and spray them again because you do not want to have aphids. Aphids will destroy these trees if you let them. Hey, and we have some fruit. Yay. I got some Santa Rosa plums. They'll be awesome. But yes, I do need to thin this thing out. All right, let's go to the apple tree. Apple tree just started flowering. Like literally the last couple of days, this thing's exploded. Look at that, it's so beautiful. And some of the grafts that I have put in there are also starting to grow. That's a good sign. So I'll make a video on that and post it a little bit later. But we are starting to see some growth, which is great. I don't know if I'll get any fruit this year. I didn't get any last year, but we'll see. If we go around to the pomegranate, you can see here the pomegranate, those nodes are still just chilling out there. Not much change. Part of this tree has grown. See right here? Part of it has grown. So that is a good sign. And then also I have growth down at the bottom here, which I'm gonna have to clear out soon. The grape vines, they have started to have or set new growth down here. You can see the new growth. So good, new growth, which is great. Fruit set will occur this year. Oh, look at all that. Yeah, that's the tomcord grape. This is the ruby grape. I don't see any new growth on it, but ready to go. The flame tokay, nothing new on it, but the black manuka, look at that growth down there coming up to the side here. Let's zoom in a little bit so you can see that better. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. That's my watering. It's going out. I planted a harmony over here on the side. This also is a harmony grape. And the razzmatazz grapevine, I don't think it made it from the winter, but we'll see. Okay, now to the chicken coop and the flavor grenade pluot. Here we have just a little bit of curl that's going on. Sorry about the dirty hands. I've been changing oil and stuff, but for the RV. But I do have some fruit set. Look at that. Yeah, buddy. I really want to have some of this fruit. I've never had one before. I had a split that occurred this last winter, so I wrapped it, and it looks like it's healing a little bit. I might need to wrap it a little bit more, but no real sign of aphids. There might be a couple in here, which I'm just gonna take those and throw them on the ground. The nice thing about the aphids, if you take the leaves that are on there off and you toss them on the ground, the aphids don't climb back up. The ants might bring them back up, but usually no problem. Here's the apricot. This is the Tilton apricot with a couple of Chinese apricots that I grafted on there. Doesn't look like those grafts are gonna take. It just might be due to some issues, but here we go. Fruit. Focus, there we go. Fruit, yes. So fruit setting, which is great. I'm gonna spray this again tonight along with the other trees because I don't want any aphids on these and the ants are bringing it up. Now, I was wrong about a couple of things. I said that this jujube tree right here won't grow for a couple more months. And boy, was I wrong. Okay, middle of April, and here we have some growth there. Look at that. Now, I love this thing. This jujube is probably one of my favorite trees. Really easy to grow. Once established, it was a little touch and go the first year, but now that it's established, this thing just is gangbuster. It grows huge, and it grows fast. Other to the Moorpark Apricot. Also, we'll get some fruit. Look at that. Yeah, buddy. What? So good. All right, there are a couple of dead parts. And comfrey's getting huge. We go over to, oh, I totally skipped these guys. So Toka Plum, little bit of aphid I saw yesterday on it, but look at these clusters. I love it. It's so good. And it's just this teeny little tree. And here's my 4-in-1. We got some growth here, people. That's a good sign. That means that this growth coming from this part that died, I will be able to get this variety in this 4-in-1. Now, the hard thing is going to be maintaining the size for all of these. But if we look here, even after spraying yesterday, let's see if we can see those aphids. Do you see all those little green guys in the bottom there? Aphids. So here, this is what I like to do. Go the bottom, pull my finger up across it, and you squish them. They all die. It's so good. Even this where it's curled up, you can see a couple of aphids. There we go. And I do the same thing, just move my fingers up. Now these guys populate like crazy. They are growing all the time and populating. Oh, there we go. There are a bunch of aphids. Die, aphids. I don't want them on my trees. They do no good for my trees. So they will hide on these big broad leaves, and then they will make their way into the center and feed on the new leaves that are starting to grow. So you gotta make sure that you try to get them off as soon as possible. You can use neem oil. That will get them off, but don't spray the neem oil during the day. only do it at night or early in the morning to kill them off. So I'm gonna have to spray this thing down again. Okay, we'll go back here. Look at these cherries. Growth everywhere. I love it. Man, I don't care if these fruit or not. I just want to see growth. They survived last year, and I think the first year is going to be the hardest with these cherry trees because I had to water them like the dickens, water them almost every day just to keep them alive. But I have good draining soil, sandy soil in there so that they won't rot. This is the Plumcot. Look at this thing. This Plumcot is doing awesome. And I'm surprised on how late it flowered. I do have some varieties that I've grafted on here. We'll see if they take. Anytime I have tried to graft onto this Plumcot, things have not taken, which I don't know if that's just a variety thing or if I blow chunks at grafting or what, but well, we have a little growth there, so that's good. All right, look at these bees. Hi, bee. Oh, I love them. Thank you, bees, for pollinating my trees. I love you so much. All right, here is the wonderful pomegranate. Nice, good growth there. I don't know why these are black, but some parts have died, it looks like. And then we have the Sir Anor pomegranate. I really don't know if this guy made it. I mean, all these branches are really crinkly. You probably can't even see the tree very well, or the bush. But yeah, that is not a good sign. So I'm gonna wait and see if I have any growth on this. Maybe we should expose the bottom and see if we have any growth down here. Really hope it grows because I'd like another variety. The downside is I planted this last year next to a very established pomegranate that's been here for years. And maybe it is fighting for its life, competing against the larger pomegranate. All right, nectarine. This nectarine is looking good. I am gonna get some fruit on it, which I'm really excited about. You can see the fruit portions there. This one did flower after the freeze, so we're doing pretty good. Here's the Flavor King. Looking good, except we got some aphids, even though I sprayed last night. Oh yeah, there's like hundreds right in there. Look at all of them, just aphid mush. I don't know, I think it's kind of nice to do that. I don't know if you think it's disgusting and you can't stand watching it, but I enjoy this. Okay, going one leaf at a time though. I don't know, I think I might get some ladybugs and give it a go, see if they'll come in and eat up all of these aphids, because there's a lot, even after spraying last night. All right, here is the Flavor Supreme, looking pretty good, flowering out, and the Flavor Queen. We're doing good, goes out there, and even the Marionberry is growing. Yes, so lots of stuff are starting to grow here in April. Here's Persimmon, my graft. I can see that there's some growth that's coming on here for the American Persimmon, but I don't want that. I want the graft to take, because this is a chocolate persimmon. I really want it. Over here is, I think it is the Saijo. Yep, there's the Saijo. Look at that growth. It's good stuff. I need to water. And then down here, my graft. These can take a long time to grow, but I'm hoping it'll take. I remove all of the new growth that's at the bottom here because I want all of the energy to go into the graft, not into the branch. And I have it divided a little bit more. There's another graft, hopefully it'll take. There's another graft and another graft. And over here we have the Hana persimmon. Yes, go Hana. Focus, focus, there we go. So Hana persimmon's doing really good. And then I forgot about the Lapins cherry. So I've got some flowers, isn't that great? And look at the growth on this thing. So good. And then I have this Utah Giant cherry that I grafted on here, and it is definitely growing. So we're connected there, which is great. I also did some bud grafting down here. Looks like they're growing. I thought I had a third graft in there somewhere. Oh, there it is, up there. Okay, so we'll see if the bud grafts break free. All right, let's go up onto the top. All right, here's the pistachio. This is the Peter's pistachio, good growth. I'm gonna cut that part off and graft the female variety so that I have both of them on the same tree. And over there, I have the female variety pistachio, and it also is growing. Okay, here we are with muscadine. I'm gonna just trim part of this leaf here because I don't want more than one leaf growing. I have to trim one that's down below there too. And this is the one that I'm gonna let grow. I wanna let this grow because I need it to get to the top of here, and these parts are not growing yet. So that's my highest point, which I'm fine with. It needs to grow. The Goumis are looking really good. They're filling in nicely. No issues so far. I guess I was wrong on the fruit stuff. All of those parts were just for leaves, not for fruit. So I don't know what it looks like for fruit, but I guess I'll find out. Here is the Izu persimmon. Look at that Izu. Man, so good. And then the Raven persimmon, also so good. We're growing. Here's the Eversweet pomegranate. Really good growth. And here's the Parfionca. It's getting really windy, sorry. Pawpaw number 1, nothing. Hello, comfrey. Pawpaw number 2, nothing. Need to come down here and remove these two guys because I don't want them to grow and compete. Okay, I don't know if I'll get fruit on this one or not, but it's looking really good. I love the coloring. Growth is doing nice. This is the Spice Zee Nectaplum, Indian Free Peach. A couple of flowers, which is nice. Very late bloomer, which also could be good. Flat Wonderful Peach. Oh, I got some more growth down below. Looking good. Flavor Punch Pluerries. Now, this is the thing. These guys flowered really, really well, which is why I think that they attracted ants and aphids. Spraying with water seems to work relatively well. There is a part of me that wants to come in and just start cutting off some of these tips and having it grow elsewhere so that I can get rid of the aphid problem, but I don't know if that'll work. So it might be worth a try. Here's another Pluerie, Sweet Treat. It also is having the same problem, aphids. So you might ask yourself, well, why don't you just get ladybugs? Ladybugs eat about 50 aphids a day, which is great. It's phenomenal. But they don't tend to hang around very long. Like if I get hundreds of ladybugs on here, I don't know if they'll be able to stay off all of the aphids because there are so many. But beyond that, good growth. Oh, there's a friendly dude. Hey, buddy, eat all the aphids, please, please. Okay, here's the other Pluerie. It's getting really windy in here. Some of these parts are looking really good. And then other parts that have or getting aphids, not looking so good. There's so many aphids in there, it would be hard to get them off. So I'm just gonna take it off and toss it to the ground. So I'll spray them again with water tonight, and then tomorrow night I will spray them with neem oil, see if that will kill them. cotton candy aprium. Bad news. I lost the majority of my fruit. See? Most of the fruit is totally gone. I don't know where this wind is coming from, but it just honestly picked up. So I'm gonna do this quick and finish up. Lost most of my apricots from both the cotton candy and the flavor delight, and that's because of the freezing. These ones flowered really early, and then the freeze took them. So if we zoom in, here you can see, there it is. Yep, just popped right off. Toast. You see how it's black on the ends? On the tip? Black on the tip? It's not a good sign. So I'm just knocking these off so that the tree doesn't want to hold on to them for dear life. The wind will knock them off anyways. Okay, that is it for the apricots. I might have a couple on here that are good, but I won't know until later on. Okay, Shanxi, look at all this growth. I mean, seriously, last night I didn't see any of these. This is great. Go Shanxi, it's growing. Now we're going to the mulberry. These also were not here last night. Yes, that is a good sign. Woo! World's best. I actually think it might be dead. I don't know, maybe at the bottom there are a couple of parts that are green. Not the green plant, but on the actual bark there you can see that it's green. Okay, so hopefully that will make it. The other guys that are newly planted, the only one that has not actually grown yet is the Dapple Dandy, but it's still alive. Go Dapple Dandy. Here we have this other, is the Pluot Splash. There's a little bit of curl to it, so maybe there's some aphids on it. Spray that along with the other ones. This is the 4th Pluerie. There's a Sugar Twist Pluerie. I love Plueries. It's probably my favorite fruit. And then this is the Plumcot Plum Parfait. Looks more like apricot leaves to me. This is the only other muscadine that is actually growing, and it's growing up here, which is great. There are lots of training videos. There are lots of videos online that can help you understand how to prune those things, but overall, I need to water these things today, get it done. Beyond that, I'm gonna go because it's getting really windy and they are just sawing up a storm up on top of the hill. I hope you have an excellent day. Goodbye.